Hello everyone, my name's Lucy and I teach arm knitting workshops amongst lots of other crafty stuff, and as we are all stuck at home I can't teach those workshops sadly, so I thought why not teach them from home, and this time with some kids as they're also stuck at home with us. So I normally teach this to adults. I've never taught it to kids before. So this is our first time. It's the first time you all have ever done it, isn't it, Rita? Yeah. So we're going to do it in real time. We might make some mistakes. We might need to undo some bits, but that's okay. And if you're a beginner, this will be ideal for you. If you've been to one of my workshops before and you just want a refresher, this will also be ideal. We're just going to use exactly the same techniques. And it's really simple, and I think that it will be great for the kids to do at home. So if you can get a hold of some of this wool, I've got 1.2 kilos and Rita's got 1.3 kilos of what's called woolly mahoosive massive yarn, or other mahoosive yarn I should say. So if I can find the end of this, I will show you. It's this big super chunky yarn, and I will tell you at the end where you can get some. So to start with, we're going to cast on. So I'm going to put my ball on the floor. You can do that too, Rita. And I teach the chain cast on method, which involves creating a chain which we then make our stitches from. So the first thing we do is make what's called a slipknot, Rita. So you want to make a loop. This, by the way, this long one that's attached, not this short end, this long end that's attached to your ball is called the working wool. So when I say working wool, that's what I mean, okay? So you want a short end and you want to create a slip knot. So you do that by making a loop like that and then pulling that loose end, grabbing it like that and pulling it through, but not all the way. So this is still dangling. No, so that's an actual, just a normal knot. So that's what we're aiming for. So Rita, if you hold that up as a loop in one hand, yeah, then you're going to twist it, and with this hand, I'll hold the loop. Grab the long working wool through that loop. Do you see? And then when you pull your loose end, it makes that knot. Do you want to try again? I'll undo mine as well and we'll do it again. So I'm holding the loose end with one hand and I'm about 60 centimetres down with the other hand, yeah? Then twist that so that you have a crossed over loop, yeah? And you've got your hand sticking through. Now grab, hang on, that's what, grab the wool through. So this one across. That's it. Now pull this one as well and you'll see that it moves up and down. So there. Yeah? Now that is your first stitch, and I've got a really long tail here which I don't really need, and we want to use all the wool we can, so I'm just going to make that further down so that the tail's shorter. There we go. So we've both got that situation going on, haven't we, Rita? Slipknot, yeah? So that's our first stitch, and that's how big we want all our stitches to be. That is big enough for me to get my hand in and out of. So yours is probably a bit too big there, Rita. You've only got little hands. You can make it a bit shorter by pulling the end. That's it. Yeah? Perfect. So you're going to put your hand through that first loop and you're going to grab the working wool, the big long one, through that loop, and you're going to, that's it, take that loop off, and you've created your second stitch. Okay, so that's 2, then grab the wool again, 3, don't tighten it, 4, and when I say don't tighten it, what I mean is don't pull the bottom to tighten. You can pull the working wool to make the stitch bigger and smaller, but don't pull the stitches as you pull it off like you might when you used to do finger knitting when you were a kid. That's how you got a nice tight plait, wasn't it? You'd pull the bottom to tighten the stitches. Don't do that. Just make sure they're all that same size that you can get your hand in and out of. So 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'm casting on 10 stitches, and that will make a small little lap blanket, or it will go across the bottom of a single bed. That's because we're using the 1.2 kilogram balls, which are a bit smaller than normal. If you're using a standard 2 kilo ball, I would cast on 12 or 14 stitches. 12 stitches will do a double bed width runner, sorry, a king size bed runner, and 14 stitches will do a slightly wider and therefore not as long runner, which will go on a double bed. So, have you got 10 there? Now, I'm just going to show you Rita's and show you a really common mistake. So, there's a twist there. It's not, it should look like this, like a hair plait. Whereas Rita's has got a twist in it down the bottom. So I'm going to watch Rita do it now. Okay, so put that on your hand. So grab your working wool, pass that stitch over, and then make that the same size. Put your hand through there and grab the next one. So that was 2, 3. No, see, you're putting your hand in the wrong way. That's it. 4. That's it. 5. No, put your hand that way. That's it. 6. 7. 8. Now, she made a mistake again there. She grabbed to the wool from the wrong direction, which made that twisty stitch. So, let's start at number 1 again. This just to show you, it's really easy to just undo it and keep doing it until you get the hang of it. It took me about 15 attempts to knit my first arm knitted throw, so don't worry. So take your wool there, pass that one over. Now that's it, then do it again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it, Rita. So put your hand through that last one. Just keep it there. Perfect. So let's show you Rita's. So it should look like a hair plait. So V's all the way down on one side, and then on the other, just get the light in the right direction, that way. It will be V's but with a bump in the middle, just like a hair plait. So that's what we've both got there. And Rita, because we want 10 stitches, we need to knit the first stitch of our next row, which is a bit like crochet actually. So we're going to do one more stitch. So we're actually going to do 11, but that is the first stitch of our next row. Okay, did you do one then? Yeah. Then what we want to do is have it this way round, so the side that has the bobbles in the middle, not this side. Can you see this side is V's?
This one looks like a chain a bit.
Yes. So not the V side, the side that looks like a chain, like Rita said. So we're looking at that side. Can you see the first stitch of the next row that we've just made is coming out of this bobble? Can you see that, Rita? Yeah. So the stitch we made, it's come out of that bobble. Can you see? Yeah?
Yeah.
Put your hand back in that stitch. So what we want to do is we want to make lots of these stitches coming out of all of these bobbles, and then we'll have 10 stitches. So we've got our first stitch, it came out of this first bobble. Then we're going to make our second stitch, and the way you do that is the hand you've got your stitch hanging off, you want to make pinchy fingers. That's it. Got your pinchy fingers, and you want to lie the plait across your lap with the bobble side up. That's it. Let's get your... That's it. So can you see on your lap the bobbles? That's it, in the middle of all your V's. And if we count them, hopefully, this is number 1, that's number 2, the next one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there's your end one. Yeah?
Okay.
And we're going to make stitches through those. So you want your pinchy fingers, and it's not the first bobble that your stitch is coming out of. So just lift your hand up. So it's not that one, it's that one. And you're going front to back. So pinchy fingers, front to back through. That's it. And with your pinchy fingers, you've gone through that bobble in the middle, and you're going to grab your working wool from behind and pull it through with your pinchy fingers through that bobble, and there's your second stitch. So that's it. Make it the same size as the one on your hand and put it on your hand. So that's number 2. And we're going to work our way across with our pinchy fingers going through each bobble as we come to it. And sometimes a bit tricky just to find them, but you'll see that there's a bobble in between each V. So can you see your next one? Yeah. So pinch your fingers, and it's important to go front to back every time. So pinch your fingers, and I'm going through this bobble now, front to back, and I'm pulling the wool through, and I'm putting that stitch on my arm. So let's try and show you on the camera. So I've got pinch your fingers, here's the next bobble in the plait, and I'm going front to back through that bobble, grabbing the wool and pulling it through and putting it on my wrist. How are you getting on? Have you got it?
Yeah.
So carry on along the chain. So with my free hand, I am isolating that bobble that's in between each V of the plait. And then with the hand that's got all the stitches on, that's my pinchy finger hand. And that's going through the bobble front to back, grabbing the wool, pulling it through and putting it on my wrist. So I've isolated the bobble there, my fingers through it, grabbing the wool from behind, pulling it through, putting it on my wrist. There's the next one. Sorry to that from the wrong direction then. So there we go.
No, something's gone wrong because I've been doing it on the wrong side. no, that is right, I think.
Let's see. So, let's just twist Rita around. Rita's got a plait forming along the bottom of her stitches, which means she's doing it right. Yeah. So that's fine, Rita. Just carry on the way you were. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. There it is. 10. Put that on my wrist. So just like, sorry, not used to doing it on the camera. Just like Rita, I've got a plait facing me. Lean across you. Plait. So that's what you're aiming for. The plait is facing you, and you'll notice that what's facing the camera is the back of the work, and it bobbles. So just like when you see, if you look at your knitted jumper, it will be V's down the front and bobbles on the back on the wrong side, and that's what we'll end up with. Okay, so we've got all our stitches cast on. You've got 10 stitches? I've got 10 stitches. Just to let you know actually why I do chain cast on. So if you cast on normally, and there'll be loads of YouTube videos about arm knitting cast on, and they'll mostly all be just standard cast on. That's fine, but you will not end up with a symmetrical blanket because you'll just have a basic cast on which just looks like loops across the bottom, and then when you cast off you will create a chain across the top. If you use chain cast on, however, you'll have a chain top and bottom, so it just look nice and symmetrical and match. So to show you what I mean, here's one I made earlier. That has a chain across the bottom. Can you see that, Rita?
Yeah.
So this is what's created as we cast on with a chain cast on method. And that's also what's created when you cast off. So each end matches and it just looks nicer. So we're going to start knitting now, Rita. What you need to do is the first stitch you don't knit. Okay, you just what's called slip it. So to slip it, you just pass it to your other hand. Now this is really important. You have to go in the front of the stitch always. So with the hand that you're transferring the stitches onto, which is this one in my case, and so we're doing it different. I'm left-handed, Rita's right-handed. So Rita's left hand's free, my right hand's free at the moment. I'm going to put my free hand in the front of the stitch.
Wait, no, my left hand's free as well, because I put them on my
Yeah, I've got my right hand free.
Oh.
So, trying to get into the camera for you. So, you'll see it like this. You're going to put your free hand into the front of the stitch, which is that direction. And do you know how I remember, Rita? I say in my head, pray.
Pray?
Pray.
Oh.
So I know if I go like that, I'm in a praying position, that I've gone in the right direction. Yeah? So you go in the stitch forward, so front ways through the stitch like that. So your hands are together and praying, but then you just pull that hand out and you've transferred it to your free hand. That's it. That's that simple to just transfer the stitch. Your working wool is then dangling from your new stitch. Yeah? Then we're going to knit all the other stitches. So you only pass over or slip that very first stitch each time. So working wool is now on the hand that has the new stitch on, and you're going to give it to your other hand again. So that is your new stitch hand. You're going to give it to the hand that has all the stitches on. That's it. So you've got the wool basically hanging over your fingers. Let's see, Rita. Yeah, I want to see it like that. I want to see your thumb sticking up and the wool, your working wool, hanging over your fingers, yeah? So I know you've got it correctly. Then you can grab it if you want. And you're going to take this next stitch and you're going to pass it over your fist. So you now have your new stitch, so you can drop that stitch, Rita, so that's creating your first row. And the stitch that's now on your hand is your new stitch. That's it. So that needs to go onto this hand, exactly the same way, in through the front, so your hands are together in a praying position, then remove that hand and slip it onto this hand. I'm breaking it down into lots of little stages. Once you get used to it, this will be automatic and you'll be slipping stitches on and off your hands, but this just really helps at the beginning, just to get it in your brain. That's it. So, give the wool to the hand with all the stitches on, slip the next stitch over. You've then created a new stitch. You want to get that stitch onto your opposite hand. So to do that, you're going in the front, praying, then slipping it off. That's it. Then give the wool to your other hand again, Rita. Pass the stitch over. No, pass over. Then do the praying. So through the front. That's it. That's it. You got it. And just, it's really easy to just keep going then. And once you get into the rhythm, you'll just do it automatically like this. And I would advise you to get a row done before you start thinking about it, or before someone offers you a cup of tea, or before you have to change the channel on TV, because the minute you stop when you're first learning, you forget what direction you're going in. So try and get a row done before you think about anything else. That's my advice. Okay, so you just made that stitch, Rita. Yep, so you're going to go through the front, pray, transfer it to that arm. That's it. That's it, you're doing it right. So give that wool to that hand, pass that stitch over, through the front, pray, transfer. That's it. Oh no, so give the wool to, that's it. Then the stitch over, then through the front, that's it. That's it then, last stitch. Through the front. And that's it. We've done a new row and we've transferred all the stitches that were on this arm onto this arm. So your view watching this is the back, is the wrong side, so you can see lots of bobbles. The right side, which is easier for me to show now it's on this arm, is V's. So you've got the V's on the chain where you cast on, and you can't quite see it yet, but you'll start to create rows and rows of V's facing you, and you'll see them. So we're going to go back the other way now. So remember, the first stitch we don't knit, we just slip it. So you want to, no, put it back on your arm. Go in the front. So in the front, praying, slip it onto your opposite hand. Then we start knitting again. So you've got the working wool hanging off the arm you just transferred that first stitch onto. So you want to take the wool, give it to your other hand so it's hanging over your fingers, yeah? And then, just like we did, but we're just going back the other way, is you're pulling the next stitch over the top of that and letting it go. You've then got a new stitch hanging off your fingers. That needs to get onto this hand. So you need to go in the front of it, praying position, remove your hand that's at the back, and then it's transferred onto your other arm. So give the wool to your opposite hand, pass the stitch over, through the front in a praying position to transfer it onto your other wrist. And just keep going like that until they're all on your other arm. So essentially what you're always doing is creating a new slip knot, and that slip knot is going onto your opposite arm. And the stitch that you're dropping that was on your arm is creating your row of stitches. Doing well there, Rita. It's just remembering to go through the front, isn't it? So it actually feels more natural to just whack it on your wrist and not worry about what direction you're doing it, and you'll end up twisting your stitches doing that. Which, if you twist every stitch, actually looks quite cool. But we're going to show you the proper way so you get lots of V's. Did you go through the front of that? There you go. Perfect. That's it. So if you twist into me and hold your arm out, that's it. She's got 2 rows now, beautiful V's. So we're going to keep going back and forth until we have got about 2.5 arm widths of wool left to cast off, and by that I mean 1, 2.5. That's about enough to cast off. So just keep merrily knitting until you have that much left. Keep checking when you start getting towards the end, because it runs out before you know it, and then we'll cast off. So we're just going to sit here and knit. I'll catch up with you when we've finished and I'll show you how to cast off. Right, so we have knitted our blankets. Hold it up, Rita. It's the wrong side of Rita's. That's looking very good. Oh, there's the right side. Lovely. All the V's. So once you have knitted up your ball and you have 2.5 to 3 arm spans left of wool, that's when you need to cast off. So what we're going to do is knit 2 stitches and then pass 1 stitch over the other and keep doing that until we've got rid of all our stitches. So just like before, slip the first stitch, then knit the next one, and you will have 2 stitches on this arm. What you then need to do is pass the back stitch over the stitch at the front, so you only have 1 stitch on your arm. Did you do that? Yeah. Cool. So then you get your working wool again, Rita. Pull that stitch a little bit tighter on your wrist, a bit loose, that's it. And just pass it to your other hand and knit the next stitch just exactly as you would, and put that on your wrist again. So you've now got 2 stitches, yeah? And the one at the back goes over the one at the front. Then knit the next stitch on this arm again, just as normal. Place it on your opposite arm, so you've got 2 stitches again, and it's always the back one going over the front one. So knit 1, place it on the other wrist, put the furthest stitch away from your hand over the front stitch, and just keep going. There we go, last 2 stitches, so back stitch over the front stitch and you are left with 1 stitch on your wrist. Wait for Rita to get to that point. Oh, Rita's really close to the end of her wool here. Here we go. That's okay. Smooth it out. That's it. Perfect. So we've now got 1 stitch left. That's our final stitch. So to tie that stitch off, you take what's left of your working wool, you grab it with your hand and you pull it all through that loop. So all the way through, and then you pull that tight and that will lock your stitch off, and that's it, we're done. Yeah. So let's turn them around to the camera, Rita. So this is where we've just cast off, and we have got a lovely chain along the top, and you've got it sideways there. Show where you've cast off. Oops. There we go. So lovely chain along the top. So hold your blanket up Well done, Rita. High five. Right, so all that remains is to finish off your blankets. So I will show you with my cast on end. You want to cut off any remaining wool, you know where you just cast off. So I've got this big long bit. You need to cut it off so you've only got about 15 centimetres left. So I'll show, and you need to do the same with your cast on end, which is about 15 centimetres already on mine. So you just need to tuck those in so it's nice and neat and they're not dangling around. So on the reverse of your blanket, just weave it in and out of some stitches on the back. So if I go in and out, and I'm on the back so no one's going to notice this, we're just weaving the stitches in and out with that remaining bit of wool, and we're hiding it basically. So that's got tucked in. Hide it behind that stitch there.
Or if you
and there you go.
Or if you have quite a lot,
that's your end finished.
Cut it, and then with these bits that haven't got it, like this end, you can knot it here and make it pretty.
Make a tassel?
Yeah.
You can make a tassel, yes. Shall we do that? Yeah. Back in one sec, we'll get some scissors to show you how to do that. Okay, so if you would like to make some tassels on the corners of your blanket, I'm going to show you what to do now. So when you cast off, you might have just used your wool and you've got nothing left. However, if you have got a couple of feet of wool left, like me and Rita have, you can make some tassels. So cut off what you have remaining, leaving about a 6-inch or 15 centimetre tail. You're going to tuck that tail in like we just did on the back and hide it. Then you are going to take the wool you have remaining and cut it in half. And then in half again. So you've got 4 pieces. What are you doing there, Rita? That's not in half, is it?
Oops.
Okay, then cut each one of those in half. Well, they're going to be quite short actually, aren't they? It should be okay. Right, snip that. And that one. Oh, you've missed a bit then. Okay. Then so I've still only got 2. You distracted me halfway through my tassels, Rita. Right, got 4 bits. Each bit's going to go in each corner. So take your piece, fold it in half.
I'm just weaving this.
Oh, okay. And find your corners. So that's your cast off edge. You have, where are we? 2 corners there. So one here. Find the corner, stick your fingers through it and grab your folded in half wool, but don't pull it all the way through. Just pull the folded bit through. Then grab the loose ends, the raw ends, and pull them through that loop. And then you can fluff that up. And you have a nice tassel on the corner. So just do the same on each corner. Okay, so you want to fold that in half. Yours are going to be short, Rita, but it's okay. So you're putting that folded bit through a stitch in the corner. So we'll go there. To grab it pinch your fingers through that, where it's folded, yeah, and grab the loose ends, pull them through, and then tighten, really pull it tight, and then fluff those loose ends up. That's it.
Tassel number 1.
Tassel number 1. And just work your way around each corner. If you can hear something in the background, that's Nye and Dad making their plane, and they've forgotten that we're making a video. It's just very rude, isn't it? And going to shut the door. There we go. Right. Third tassel. Fluffy. Also, if they're too long, like that would be a really big tassel, wouldn't it? You can just give them a trim. That's nicer. I'm looking off camera because my dog's just got her foot trapped in the power lead for the laptop, and I can just see her pulling it, so I shall go and release her. There we go. Right, Rita, are we nearly done?
Nearly.
Ooh. So I'm just giving mine a haircut now. Make sure they're all nice and woo, neat. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there we go. That's mine finished with the tassels. Let's see yours, Rita.
1, 2.
Yay! Right, hold them up and we'll say bye to everybody in a minute. There we go. Turn it around, that's the back. There we go. Woo! Amazing. So you can make one. That was the first time Rita's ever done it, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, honestly. So if she could do it, anyone can. Oh yes, I was going to tell you where to get the wool. So because I am not doing the workshops at the moment, I have a stock of wool. The wool is from Woolly Mahoosive, and I've got some what I call wabi-sabi wool, which is what me and Rita have been using here. It's like the seconds wool, so it's come from the centre of these massive bales, and they call it seconds because it's got a little bit creased because it's in the middle of those bales. So I have got a stock of those balls, and they are much cheaper than buying the full price wool. So if you would like to buy one of those balls from me, they weigh just under 2 kilos. So I think the lightest is 1.6, going up to about 1.9. They vary slightly. But I've got loads of colours: mustard, black, chocolate brown, dove grey, pearl, pink, bright pink.
Mint?
No, you got the last of the mint.
Oh.
So, sorry. Slate green. Just message me. So you can message me on here, or message me on Facebook, which is This or Die. Message me on Instagram, which is this.or.die. Or, I don't know, email me, lucy.may@thisordie.co.uk, and I will let you know what colours I've got left in stock. Those balls are £20 a ball, and it will be about £3.95 postage per ball to post them to you. that is a massive saving on the price of a normal ball of wool. So please do that if you want to. That would really help me out as well at the moment. So get your wool from me. I'll come and teach you what to do with it. If not, failing that, you can buy your wool from Woolly Mahoosive, and it's the Mahoosive yarn. Thanks for watching. Hope it wasn't too boring. And if you'd like to, please subscribe. I'm going to try and do some more videos. So do you fancy doing an Easter wreath, Rita?
Yeah.
Yeah. So using this wool, we're going to make a lovely hand-knitted wreath that you can put on the wall for Easter. Also, I do shoe design, so maybe we'll do some workshops regarding that. I do sewing as well, so we might do some of those if they're popular. But for now, that's it from me. So all it remains to say is thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoy doing your arm knitting. Message me if you need some wool. And till next time, I'll see you later. Bye!